So there's one more video I want to make as we start the new year, and that is I would want to go through and just rank every single movie I reviewed in the last year from my least favorite to my favorite. There are 23 of them, so let's get started with number 23. Number 23 is A Christmas Story. I did not like A Christmas Story. I felt like it was pushing the wrong agendas. It's marketed for kids, and it's just about capitalism. It's about get. And that's not the meaning of Christmas. Christmas is about giving. Christmas is about spending time with family. That's even if you're not Christian. That's just the meaning of Christmas is about giving, not get. And I just felt like this movie was pushing this. I don't plan to show this movie to my kids. And I don't know, you guys can have your own opinions, but I personally did not like this movie at all. It was not funny. There was only a couple lines that the father said that I kind of had a little of a chuckle with, but for the most part, I did not enjoy watching it, and the message in this movie was terrible. Number 22 is The Polar Express. This is one of the worst adaptations for a book ever. Maybe not as bad as The Hobbit or the Percy Jackson movies, but it's still not good. It adds so much stuff that's unnecessary, taking this little kid story, picture book, and turning it into this 2-hour-long movie almost of unnecessary stuff. It has so much in this that just takes away from the story, and it even destroys the story itself. I just hated it. There was nothing really good about this. I don't know why some people consider this to be a Christmas classic, because it was not good at all. And I don't plan to watch this, and I don't plan to show it to my kids. It did not put me in the Christmas mood at all. Number 21 is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The live action How the Grinch Stole Christmas is just awful. It's awful. I will admit why I'm putting this higher than the other two is because I had some fun watching it. It had some funny moments in its own crazy way. It was a really crazy adaptation that was terrible. It was kind of enjoyable to watch in its own crazy way. So I'm putting it a little higher on my list for that reason. Number 20 is The Passion of the Christ. As a big Catholic, you would think I would really like this movie, but I don't, because I have a great devotion to Jesus Christ and a great devotion to the Passion. And because of that, I did not like this movie. I felt like it was too much Hollywood pushing stuff in it. And I get it. A lot of people find that this movie is really helpful to get them in the understanding of what happened at the Passion. But I felt like it was not that for me. I felt like I was putting images in my head that I was not supposed to have in my head, and that I should just allow God to show me what He wants to show me about the Passion. So that's why I did not like this movie. But honestly, I put it higher up on my list than the lower movies because of the reason that I don't watch this. I'm going to say, yeah, if it's the movie for you to watch, then watch it. If it helps you, then good. But it just didn't help me, and I don't like it personally. Number 19 is Eega. Eega is a really strange movie about a man who turns into a fly. I watched it because some people asked me to. I had an enjoyable time, but it's a strange movie, and that's all I can really say about it. It was a very strange movie, some really weird stuff in it that I didn't like, but for the most part I found it kind of enjoyable. So if you really want to watch a movie about a man who turns into a fly and gets revenge on his murderer, then watch it, because it was kind of interesting. But I wouldn't say everyone needs to watch it, because in my mind it wasn't that good. Number 18 is Peter Pan and Wendy. This movie is not as good as I first said it was, but it still stands up. It's still not terrible, so that's why I'm not going to put it really low on my list. But to be honest, it's not great. So keep that in mind. It's not great, but I had an enjoyable time watching it, so that's why it's higher on my list, because yeah, it wasn't bad. I would willingly watch this again. I would show it to my younger brothers. I would even be willing to show it to my kids. It wasn't terrible. As Disney remakes go, it wasn't bad. So I guess that's a plus. Guess we're gonna have to live with it. It was an okay movie with some pretty fun songs. Number 17 is Jesus Revolution. This is a movie that I personally found okay. It sounds like it's a movie more for some other people, I would say. People I know. It's all about the charismatic movement in California when it hits the hippies. It's all about that type of stuff, and for a lot of people that might be really appealing. This seems like a movie that the people I know would personally be like, love this movie probably. It has all the Christian writing type stuff in it that's kind of cringy, but for the most part, I didn't find it terrible. It's not the movie for me, so I put it low on my list because of that. Number 16 is Into the Spiderverse. The animation is not my favorite. I felt like there was so much pushing of, you need to like these characters. You introduce these characters in one scene, in the next scene you're supposed to like them. And I felt like I didn't get the chance to like them before they pushed that I had to like them. So that's why I put it low on my list. Besides that, yeah, the animation wasn't my favorite, but a lot of other people like it. Again, you guys can watch the longer videos on my reviews so you can get more information on this. Number 15 is Across the Spiderverse. I felt like Across the Spiderverse was a little bit better than the first one because of the reason that it didn't push that you had to like all these characters, and it allowed you to naturally like the characters because of that. There was this feeling of, because there was so many different Spider-Man, it didn't force you to like them. And because of that, there was some really fun Spider-Man that you only got to see for a second that I'm like, oh, I want to see more of that Spider-Man because of that. I felt like the animation stayed the same, but it was also so like Easter egg here, Easter egg there, that I found it fascinating to watch because of that. It's not my favorite movie, but for the most part, the animation was still my favorite, but it had a lot of things going for it that I'm like, I could see why people could like this. But it's definitely not one of the best movies of the year, in my mind. Number 14 is Dunkirk. It's okay as a war movie. I found it had some great moments in it. It's definitely not one of Christopher Nolan's best movies. In my mind, it has its problems with pacing. It jumps from here to there, and it's not really clear where it's going. And in some ways, that's, Christopher Nolan's signature thing is to try to confuse people, but I felt like, unlike with Inception and movies like that, where it's like, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm kind of confusing you, but I know what's going on. In this way, it felt like that he wasn't in control. He really didn't understand what he was going for with the direction of this movie, and because of that, it came off like it was just unfocused. Number 13 is Risen. Risen was a very interesting movie about a soldier who's trying to find the missing body of Jesus Christ. And at first I didn't like it because it sounded like they were going to try to justify why maybe the apostles actually did steal it. And then eventually they came back with, no, yes, he has this great conversion because he finds the risen Christ. The visuals were kind of dim for some reason. Maybe it was the version I was watching of it, but it came off like really dim. And it had some classic Christian writing at moments. But besides that, I found it to be quite enjoyable, and I would willingly watch it again. I thought it was a pretty good Easter movie. Number 12 is Independence Day. I love this movie. This movie is fun. It's a fun, not the greatest writing, but it's a fun summer blockbuster, as we're going to talk about in July. More summer blockbusters. Summer blockbusters is an important thing, even as someone who is obsessed with great writing. I do understand sometimes with bodybuilders and people like that, they would call it their cheat day. Summer blockbusters are what I would consider cheat movies, where you just want to watch a movie and you don't care to really think about it. That's what a summer blockbuster is. It's just a fun little movie to watch with your friends. Just sit down and watch the summer blockbuster. That's what this movie is. It's a fun movie to just enjoy with your friends, and I really liked it. And I watched it years ago, and I watched it recently, and I liked it again. It was good. It's a classic movie. I would recommend sit down on Independence Day and watch the movie Independence Day. It's a fun movie. Number 11 is Top Gun. So Top Gun fits in the same category of a summer blockbuster. This movie is awesome. I actually watched it after watching the second one, but still in the same way, it was still a really good stand-up movie. Just like Independence Day, fun little adventure. This time it's about fighter pilots. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was enjoyable. Had some great moments in it. The music was fun. It's one of Tom Cruise's best movies in my mind. It's a really fun movie to just sit down and watch on a hot summer's day or something like that, when you just have some time to laze around and you just want to watch a cheat movie. This is what I would consider to be a good cheat movie. Number 10 is Bahubali. This kind of falls in the same category as the summer blockbusters, where the writing is not great, but it's so much fun to watch. The first Bahubali and the second one are both really enjoyable to watch. In this first one, you're introduced to this character who's like super strong, and they act like it's completely normal that these people would be really strong. It's like that's kind of the way with Hollywood movies. They're just like that. And I found it fun to watch. It's not the greatest writing, but visually it's amazing. It's 10 times better than most action movies in my mind for Hollywood. So I don't know. If I want to watch an action movie, sometimes I choose to go to Hollywood because I find that they have more fun with their action than a lot of times what we have with Hollywood. Number 9 is Bahubali 2. Bahubali 2 is almost like the first one, besides I felt like the action was even better. I had so much fun. The continuation of the story was just so much fun. I just loved the characters. I loved the villains in it. It was a fun movie. It's definitely not the best movie, but it's a fun summer blockbuster type movie to watch. When you just wanted to sit down and watch a movie and have fun with it without having to think about every little detail that just makes it fall apart. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking out those movies if you can find an English translation of them. Number 8 is E.T. E.T. is one of those movies that I was terrified of this movie as a kid, and now I love it. It's a fun movie. It's a fun summer blockbuster. While I would say with stuff like Top Gun and Independence Day, while those are just turn off your brain type movies and watch, this is one of those movies I'm like, this movie's actually, I would say you can learn some stuff from this movie. Well, you can learn stuff from those movies too, even more so. This is Steven Spielberg, one of his greatest movies in my mind, and it's just an actual masterpiece. This movie is so much fun. I was terrified as a kid, but now I watch it and I'm like, I like it as an adult. Number 7 is The Man Who Invented Christmas. This movie is, in my mind, somewhat of a masterpiece. As someone who strives to be a writer, I love this movie because you see the mind behind the writer and how Charles Dickens made the story of A Christmas Carol. And you get to see that play out. It was a lot of fun. The visuals for the most part was really beautiful. The story was good. I had a lot of fun with it. And coming from a writing standpoint, I loved it. Number 6 is RRR. I watched this movie because I saw a lot of reviews for it and people talking about how great it was. So I watched it and it's so much fun. Definitely a classic summer blockbuster type movie. The writing isn't the best, but it was a fun movie. I, on accident in my review, called it a Bollywood movie. It's a Tollywood movie, but it's a very fun movie to watch with a great story about two people and their friendship above all odds. And the music in this movie is hilarious, and I still sometimes listen to the soundtrack because it's just a lot of fun. Number 5 is Die Hard. Die Hard is definitely a Christmas movie. I watched it because I was like, oh, is this actually a Christmas movie? Yes it is. It's definitely a Christmas movie. Something about it, and I had to make videos talk about, really dissecting what is it about Die Hard that makes it feel like a Christmas movie. But I felt more in the Christmas mood after watching Die Hard than after watching those other Christmas movies I reviewed this year, because it's something about it. It just puts you in the Christmas mood. There's some Christmas music at the end, but that's not it. It's something about the story, about the characters. They just put you in a Christmas mood, and I'm like, I'm ready for Christmas after watching this movie. It's 100% a Christmas movie. I don't care what other people say. Number 4 is Hacksaw Ridge. This movie is incredible. I love this movie. I own it. It has some great moments in it. The visuals are incredible. It's definitely rated R for a good reason. It's very gruesome and makes sense. It's the story of a World War II soldier who became a medic, and he's trying to get as much people as he can off of Hacksaw Ridge. Because of that, it's very gruesome, but inside the story, and it's really fascinating because someone who's not a pacifist, hearing someone talk from the standpoint of a pacifist, I'm like, that's fascinating. I'm not on your side for that, but I'm rooting for you in this movie. So I found that really interesting. And this movie is well done. It's a well done movie. Number 3 is Top Gun Maverick. I found that this movie was better than the first one. I had so much fun when I first watched this movie. One of the first times that my dad took the time, he was like, I'm getting this movie from the library and we're gonna watch it as guys. So my older brother, my dad, and I just sat down and we watched this, and it was a really cool moment of having this bonding moment with my father and all. But it was also just, in general, it's a very fun movie, a very awesome summer blockbuster. I'm putting it higher on my list than I put some blockbusters because I like this movie a lot. It's one of my favorite It definitely deserves to be one of 2022's best movies. It's an awesome movie, and it's so much fun to watch. I watched it like 3 times already, and I'll plan on watching it again because it's a fun movie. It's a very fun movie with some great characters in it. The music, for the most part, they have some great songs in it, and it's like when you watch this movie after watching the first one, you're like, there's a deeper meaning behind these characters. Number 2 is 1917. I completely forgot that I actually reviewed this movie, which is kind of strange. Like in one of my recent videos, I'm like, next year, this coming year, I'm going to review 1917 because I love this movie. And then I was looking through, I'm like, I already reviewed it. I'm like, huh, that's crazy. I didn't realize that, but I had. And yeah, it's really, really good. As someone who is not the biggest fan of just pure action, I love war movies like this, where it's so much suspense and less of just action after action after action scene. So when the action comes, you're like, yes, like I was waiting for this now, and you get to like you're drawn into it more. It's also really fascinating because this movie is like a total masterpiece with how it's shot as if it was one continuous shot, and I love that. It's a fascinating movie. The characters, for the most part, are really good. I just love this movie. I own it. I'll continue watching it over and over again, and I will review more, put out like 4 reviews for these movies, especially this one, because it's a fascinating movie. Dissecting the movie will be amazing, so look forward to that. But yeah, it definitely deserves the number 2 spot. Number 1 is Tolkien. This movie totally deserves the number 1 spot. For anyone who has been following this channel for a while would already know this, and I mean, just look behind me. Lord of the Rings books here and there. I love the Lord of the Rings. I'm a big Tolkien fan. So this movie was incredible in my mind. I loved how they were able to take the story of Tolkien's life and put it into movie form. I had just, right around the time that this movie was released, I had been working on creating a paper on the life of Tolkien. So suddenly after COVID hit, and now I had a chance to watch this movie because it was out on digital now. So I watched it, and I love this movie. I own it. I've watched this multiple times. I've shown it to my family because I'm like, you guys have to see this too. It's incredible. The writing in it, of course, it's the story of Tolkien. Of course the writing is good. The visuals, the characters in Tolkien, the life of Tolkien. How could you go wrong with that? And the changes they made, for the most part, I had problems, but I thought this movie is a top-notch movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all times, and bravo for doing such a great job with the life of Tolkien in this movie. So guys, what do you guys think? How would you rank these movies on my list? Have you seen all my reviews for those? If you haven't yet, I'll leave a link so you can watch the whole playlist of these movies. For the most part, all my opinions stand up to this day of what I think of these movies. If you guys haven't yet, please subscribe. This has been the Movie Night Reviewer. Peter Way, signing off.